talking Pints, enthusiastic crowd. Jonathan Gullis is the Conservative Member of Parliament for Stoke-on-Trent North. Jonathan, before politics, you were a school teacher known as Grumpy Gullis. This is not good, is it?
Well, I remember in my first year of teaching that you fall into that trap of thinking if the kids like you, they're going to behave. And actually, the teachers I saw that delivered the best lessons are the ones that had firm behaviour, discipline in their classroom and weren't worried about being popular. So the smile went and Grumpy Gullis came about, and it served me well for the 8.5 years I worked in the profession anyway.
Rewarding job?
Absolutely the best job you can do. And, you know, my partner's a teacher as well, still to this day. And I think it's, you know, levelling up to mean anything, and I've said this relentlessly, education is where it's going to come from. I can build all the shiny buildings I want in Stoke-on-Trent North, Kids Go and Talk. I can put all the brand new jobs up here. But if I don't make sure it's Stoke-on-Trent people filling those jobs, then levelling up will be a failure. So education is the way that that's going to be turned around.
And does that include skills and trades, or should we all go to university to get degrees in ologies?
Nigel, you are bang on the money. You've always said it, and I'm one of those who've been saying it as well. We need to get back to understanding and appreciating just how important the plumber, the sparky, the person on the factory floor is, as much as the person who does their English and history degree as well. And Germany, to be fair to them, has had it right that if you do a A-level equivalent over there, it's as important as doing a plumbing qualification. In this country, for far too long, education meant university or nothing. And thankfully, Tony Blair is now gone, and Gordon Brown's now gone, and we've now got a government and a minister for skills in Robert Halfon who believes in it.
And we've had 5 education secretaries in how long?
A little, not a long enough time, Nigel. As you know, I recently did get the sacking. So
yeah, I know. We will return to the shambles in a moment. But and there you are. You're a political activist, you get selected for Stoke North, you haven't even turned 30, and you suddenly become an MP. You must have been, I mean, shocked, thrilled. What were the emotions?
I'm gobsmacked, to be honest with you, because obviously I accept people lent me a vote. They voted for Boris Johnson, they voted to get Brexit done, they voted for change in this local area, because what they wanted, or had seen for so long, is 70 years of Labour neglect and a lack of aspiration ideas. So I know that I was given opportunity to try and deliver. Obviously, a pandemic, a war in Ukraine has certainly played its part in making this one of the most trickiest times, I think, to be a parliamentarian. However, my children are born and raised here, bought my first ever house in the local area, you know, proud to get on the train Monday, come back Wednesday night, don't want to spend too long in London. The wokery is quite infectious, so you have to make sure you get away from it as quickly as possible. So, you know, for me, I'm just delighted to be in the community, have the opportunity. And, of course, as I say to all my constituents, in the next general election, they're like Alan Sugar. They either hire me or they fire me, and I look forward to facing that challenge when it comes.
Well, I think you're going to have a slight problem, Jonathan, if I'm being frank with you. Not because of what you stand for and what you believe, because I think you do believe in some good things. And I love the fact that you're unafraid. You know, you get kicked off social media sites and you say what you think, and you actually are prepared to defend British history, which I think there's too much of this, isn't it? There's too much of slagging off everything this country has ever stood for, and you made a stand over the National Maritime Museum, didn't you?
Well, that as well, and also the disgusting act when we saw the British flag trying to be burnt on the cenotaph, and actually introducing that new legislation, which Priti Patel adopted as Home Secretary at the time, to make sure you now can serve up to a maximum of 10 years if you go around desecrating war memorials to our glorious dead. It infuriates me, this idea of decolonising the curriculum, this absurd idea that somehow the curriculum is inherently racist, when it's actually just trying to teach people about, you know, what we do. And actually, let's not forget, our education system is exported around the world because we are seen as a world leader.
John, you've stood up for these things and you haven't tried to court popularity in Westminster. I get all that, and I do respect that. But you were elected on a ticket that made a series of promises to the British people. Getting Brexit done was about taking back control of our borders. Yes. In this city, in the last 24 hours, you know, your local council have lost this case, and the historic Stafford Hotel, you heard the passion from the audience about that hotel and what it represents for this city. You're losing, aren't you? You're losing this, because why would these people vote for you again if the government that you're there and you're a part of it? Well, you were. Well, you were for a bit, but until they got rid of you. But why would they vote for you again if they see catastrophic failure on that level?
So I think I'm very much on the record, as you know, Nigel, as being someone who is absolutely appalled by what's happening. Suella Braverman has my absolute full support in what she's trying to do. And the demonising of her, the demonising of Priti Patel, in order to try and take back control of our borders is shocking. And sadly, when I look across Parliament and I see the opposition who vote against the Nationality and Borders Act, backing their lefty lawyer mates who are taking us to court, preventing us from getting flights off to Rwanda. Let's not forget, Nigel, that will act as a deterrent. If we get planes in the sky, people landing in Rwanda, that will act as a deterrent.
Jonathan Gullis, this is all baloney.
No.
None of this is going to happen until we complete Brexit. And we don't complete Brexit if we allow a judge in Strasbourg to make sure that flight can't take off on the tarmac.
Nigel, I'm very much on the record as being very sympathetic towards the idea of leaving the ECHR. And I certainly will, and I know the government is looking at it, but let me be clear about this.
Looking at it.
Well, look, Nigel, I promise you this. I'm on those backbenches and I'll be pushing the case for why we should be doing that, working with colleagues to make our argument, make our case. But you are right. Stoke-on-Trent is the 5th largest contributor to the asylum dispersal scheme. We have currently over 800 asylum seekers in this city. I went absolutely ballistic, and rightly so, at the fact that yet again this city is trying to be dumped on, despite the fact other parts of the country, with lots of Labour MPs who love open borders and free movement, have the grand sum of zero in their local area. I bet if we started dumping people in their hotels, in their nice 5-star hotels, or on their high streets, or in their local communities, they'll be outraged as well. What we're seeing is tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions, going to the French, and I agree with you on this, by the way. The French have not stepped up. I know that we've got 28,000 stop journeys, but they're not doing enough. They're too busy, as we've seen from video footage, sitting on beaches and allowing boats to land. They're not patrolling their waters and dragging people back to shore. And as for Nigel, this is an important point. And as for Albania, as for Albania, Nigel, let's be quite frank. The Prime Minister of Albania has been very upset with the comments made by the Home Secretary. If his country is so great, why are so many of his people trying to leave it?
Quite. And do you know who's advising? Who's doing the PR?
Alistair Campbell.
Alistair Campbell is advising the Albanian government. What a great job he's doing. Well, I'll give you a tip. As somebody much older than you, who's been around the block a bit, I think you're going to have a hell of a job to get re-elected. Not because people here don't think you've done your bit and stood up, not because people don't think you've got the right values, but because it's, it's vote Jonathan and you get Rishi Sunak or you get whoever the leader may be. But there could be another 4 leaders by then, who knows. But I think if you were one of those people brave enough not to say, I'll look at the ECHR, but actually campaign for us to get back real control of our borders, not to have foreign judges, I reckon you might have a much stronger chance. Last thought. Brexit. Have the people of Stoke seen enough benefit from Brexit yet?
No. And that's something that we as a government need to make sure we do deliver on. Because my area voted 73% leave. Those people rightly voted for that. I campaigned for it. I was delighted and proud. And thank you to you, Nigel, because without your campaigning, we wouldn't have seen that on the 2015 Conservative Party manifesto as far as I was concerned. So thank you genuinely from me. As someone who's proud to have been a Brexiteer. But you are right. It's going to be a tremendous challenge. I'm the first ever Conservative MP in the history of this seat. Of course, there's levelling up fund projects that we need to deliver. We need to deliver on stopping illegal economic migrants coming across our channel. We need to deliver on making sure that we're delivering the skills and the investment in our local areas. Well, look, we've had, and I rattle off these numbers a lot, the 56 million levelling up fund, the 500 Home Office jobs, the 17.6 million Kidsgrove Town deal, which has seen the sports centre reopen, up to 1,700 jobs being created at Chatterley Valley West, £30 million of buses. And I know people will rightly say, but we haven't seen or felt all that. I promise you by the next election, I will be working my guts off to make sure that that is seen on the ground. If not, then I will face the beautiful part of democracy, which is obviously the hiring or the sacking.
And you will face these good people, and we thank you for coming into the Lion's Den here on Talking Pints.
Thank you, Nigel. Good day.